Welcome to Schoology 202. So taking the next step into Schoology to begin to look at some of the other features that are available in Schoology. For the next hour, I will be your tour guide. Miss West has graciously offered to join me to be the co-captain on our little cruise through Schoology. I am going to focus on some of the things that I think will help with efficiencies from the get-go, but then I'm also just going to be available to respond to some questions too about some things that you're thinking about as well. So that's my plan for the next hour. Yeah, so that's what I got. That's what I got going on. So yeah, I hit record. I guess I'm going to share my screen and get started. Crystal, it's so nice to see you. All right. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now, and I am going to jump over to my really well organized tabs up here. Look at that. There's only, I don't know, 20 tabs, so that's not too bad. All right, so I'm going to navigate to a Schoology course, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the linked sections. So one of the things that we're doing at the elementary level is linking those homeroom hubs again. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I'll go into the archives section and we can look at one from last year. But to show you some of this, it's actually kind of helpful to use one that is already linked. So I'm just going to scroll down here and I'm going to find one of my linked sections in here. Here we go, grade 3. So here's a grade 3 is the course. And then these are the different sections. And so normally, in normal times, you would just have your own homeroom course. But as a matter of efficiency to make things easier for you to share, we went through and we linked these courses. So I'm going to open up this 3rd grade linked course. And then I'm going to just break down a little bit about what that means if you don't recall from the spring. Look up here, I've got all of the homeroom courses, section 1, section 2, and section 3, all linked into one area. So that means if I look on the members section over on the left-hand side here, if I click on members, what I'm going to see is the roster for all of these. Now, I don't see all of them at once. There's a little drop-down menu right here that shows me which section. And so you might be section 2, and then in that case, if you want to see the kiddos from your section, you can toggle to section 2, and then that will change the actual student list. And so I can toggle again to section 3, and then that will change the student list. So that toggling piece is how you can switch your view between the different rosters. All right, so by default, when you create different materials, and so Linnea did a really nice job this morning of highlighting 3 of the important materials to get started: the folder, assignments, discussions, and she even did an extra one, that media album. But I'm going to go and I'm going to review this folder. So folders are the ways that you can add organization in Schoology. So these are everything from your homeroom class down to the subject area. When you create the folder, so I might create a Mr. Beaverson's class folder at the top level, and then everything that I put underneath this will be for just my roster of kids. And I'm going to show you how you can know that when you're doing this. So if I create this folder right here, I can add a little description. It's Monday at the end of the day, so I wasn't more clever than that. I'll apologize for not being clever enough 2 more times during this hour, but I won't do it more than that. So I gave it a title. I'm adding a little description, a reminder that this box over here, this insert content box, is where you can start to add some multimedia. So if you want to put an image in there, you can do that. You can add a link. I'm working in a folder right now, and so one of the nice things that Schoology does is it will actually limit the types of things that you can insert, the type of content that you can insert based on the item. And so I'll show you a page in a little bit as well. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and create this description. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click the green create button right now so that I can show you what that looks like. So once I click create, you can see here's the title of my folder. There's my description actually comes to the front page so that you can see it. So this is how you can add some navigation by adding that description in your folder. But then right below that, you'll see it's delivered to 3 sections right now. Those are the linked sections. And so if I have this set up for 3 sections, then by default, anything I put inside of this folder by default will actually also be delivered to all 3 sections at the same time. Now, the handy thing is I can go back into my gear here. I can click the edit button. And instead of delivering it to all 3 sections, I can change the availability right here so that it actually only goes to my sections. So see right down here, sections to customize. And let's say Beaverson is section 1. So I'm going to choose that section 1. Now, this green dot is delivered to just this one section. I can personalize my due dates based on that. I can add an end date, and it will only be for my section. So I'm going to click save.
One of the nice things about having the linked sections is that if you're a team that sort of divides and conquers, Mr. Beaverson's class, you could put all the things that you're sort of in charge of right there, and then everybody has access to them. So if you're doing the main content for science and social studies in an elementary setting and someone else is doing math, then you're posting for your whole grade level. And then you can change the names of those homeroom sections so they're not all gobbledygook like HR 00232. Just FYI. So you know whose class is whose.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, and you can see now this is down to 1 section. So I have this filtered now, so it's only going to deliver to 1 section. One of the methods that was discovered in the spring to help ease some of this work, and this worked for 5th grade, and so whether it works all the way down to 3rd grade or not, I'm not sure. But teams started to specialize. And so they started to do the divide and conquer, like Linnea was mentioning, so that I might be the person responsible for the math lessons for that week. And then Linnea might be the person who's responsible for the English language arts lessons that week. And if we use the link sections, then Linnea can actually add stuff to my roster, and it will still look like it comes from me. It won't really be a distinction for the kids. They won't get confused because suddenly Miss West is assigning them stuff. It'll still look like it's coming from me. But that is an advantage that you can get by doing this or by having the link section. So a way to divide and conquer in that. Back to my little folder now. I'm in my 1 section, so that if I go into this folder and I create an item within my folder, so I'm going to do a page because I said I wanted to show you that there's expanded content that you can insert in a page. And so here's my page. And then I can use this insert content. And so now if you look, I can insert media. I can also start putting the videos in there, and it'll embed the video and it will show up on the page. A lot of times I use the Google Drive resource app, and I actually will just embed a Google Doc into the page, and I just kind of stretch the window so it fits. Import, embed. And the reason I do that is a couple things. I'm not a huge fan of the Schoology text editor, this box right here. I don't like it. It's a little bit weird to me. It's not a smooth tool that I love. I'm much more adept at doing Google Docs. And so that's, if I embed the Google Doc into this, then when I change my Google Doc, in the way that I'm familiar with, it'll actually be changed on this page as well. So I do that as a way to try to manage we're only having to change it in one spot. If I change the Google Doc, then it's changed in my Schoology course. If one of my colleagues have made a copy of this page with my Google Doc embedded, when I make a change to that Google Doc, it'll be changed in theirs as well. And so another way to work together. Now, there are times when I use the editing features in Page. I personally go back and forth, and I will embed content before I do other things. So this is the page, and I just wanted to show you that insert content and then that it's embedded. And then down at the bottom, you can see this box isn't checked. It's already being delivered to just my section because it's in that folder. So if I click create right now, it's going to create within that folder, and it's going to create to just that one unit, that one section. Why does it say unpublished right now? I know, that's a great question. I have to double check. What did I do wrong? Maybe I didn't, did I unpublish my folder? It's possible. Let's try this again. All right, so now it's published to my one section. I'm having a little bit of a hiccup there. I can't exactly remember why that worked that way. So I'm gonna write a note and make sure I figure that out. Okay, so trying to stay on track is hard for me sometimes. So because I see things, I'm like, oh, I want to tell you about this too. The page items in Schoology are nice because they can create headers for a section. And so what I mean by that is I'm going to choose this display. I'm going to turn that on. It's going to display it in line. So now when I click save, the contents of my page are actually going to be displayed right here. So there you go. There's my Google Doc just loaded up. And so when I say a header, I mean, I can use this page to sort of set off what is going to be here, and then I can go and put folders underneath it. And so if I want to say this unit is about yada yada, then the kids can scroll through this part of it. These links will still work, and then I can have the folders as resources underneath here. A pro tip for organizing content in Schoology is I can use this up here and click, and then I can add my assignment or add a discussion. But I can also go this little dotted line down here when I hover my mouse over it. If I click the little plus sign, I get that same menu, but now it will be put underneath that other item, so I don't have to try to reorganize it. And select custom. There we go. And click create. All right. And then if I want to reorder things, this got asked in the morning, that this is actually pretty easy, as I can just click and drag this and it will reorder. But it's kind of nice as you're building, particularly in the beginning of the school year here, as you're going to start building your folder structures and some other things, to know that that little plus sign is there. So what I've covered so far is looking at your linked classes, distinguishing between whether or not that item is for just your one section or if it's delivered to all sections. A reminder that it's really nice that you can go in and edit, change these things. And so if you meant to publish it for everyone and you hadn't, no big deal. You can click save, and now it'll be delivered. I unchecked the box next to mine, and so you can see I'm a little rusty too. It's been since spring since I spent a lot of time doing these types of things, and so I'm going to click this select all. The other nice thing is you can give different end dates to different things, so different due dates and different end dates. What I will say is when you rely on the computer to put in end dates, the computer is dumb. And so once that end date passes, it'll become unavailable automatically for everybody. And so I've always sort of known that that was there and I could really automate my course, but I've treated that as, wouldn't that be nice if I was teaching a college level course and I wasn't worried about things disappearing on behalf of the kids and the kids having some stress about it. And so I just tend to manually manage the availability piece of it, but you could automate it. And I'm sure some of you will figure out great ways to do that as well.
Sean, I was just going to mention that you had the
Yeah,
page
please.
in there, and there's the page. The benefit to having the page is that it's just like FYI or for information only, but there's no interaction that occurs with the page. So there's not like an assignment to submit or a discussion to participate in or some media to add to it. It's just like, here's the information. It's kind of a flat experience. It's not interactive.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And then you can, the other thing to remember is choose the item that you want. And so a page is great to do what Linnea just said. The text editor in a page, so this item right up here, this is the exact same thing as what exists in an assignment. So if I go add an assignment, and let's say rather than having a page that explains what you're supposed to do in the assignment and then a separate assignment, you can actually integrate these things. So I can make this integrated to make it easier for you, whatever you want to put in this description. And so the assignment could be watch this video and then respond to the question. And then the kids type a response to the question. Or the directions for the assignment could be from a Google Doc that you choose to insert, and it will embed that Google Doc the same way that it is on the page. So again, if you want to update it, you can update it more easily, and you can embed that right into there. And then if you're doing that, this is an interactive element. This is designed for the kids to respond to. I love the way Linnea put it this morning, that it's a private conversation between you and the students. But instead of having a separate page that describes the outcomes and the targets and what you're hoping they get, you can use this description field to lay out the entire assignment for them. And then they can read that, they can watch the video, they can look at an image, they can do all of those things, and then they can respond right in the body of the assignment. So that's a nice, one of those things that I would encourage people to think about is you can create a really organized, independent cycle using the assignment tool instead of building 3 different things that you need. Now, sometimes it's going to make more sense to have 3 different things, but that is something that I would point out, that you can do that way. Same is true. The other thing that we love is these discussions. So discussions are they're like a classic way to connect on the internet. They're like the old message boards from back in the day where people just share things that they're interested in and they can have a discussion. Discussions are great. Discussions are an asynchronous way to keep your entire class connected regardless of where they're sitting. If they're in front of you or they're at home, they can respond to discussions when they get to them, and they can respond to each other's as well. Again, with discussions, same deal, insert content. So you can use videos as the prompt for the discussion. You can use a Google Doc as your prompt for the discussion, or of course you could just type in what the discussion questions are as well. Same idea here again is that you can customize this so that it isn't to all sections, it's just to your section. If these both are checked, it's going to go to everyone else as well. I would, again, encourage you that all of these things are recoverable. So if you initially keep everyone else and you didn't mean to, it's okay. You can go back in and edit, and you can change that again. And then one of the other things, I am bouncing around just a little bit, but one of the other nice things about discussions is you can choose right here. It says members can see other responses before participating. Well, you can toggle that on so that it requires the kids to have their own private thought with the discussion. So the discussion prompt that you want to give them, before they can see what anybody else wrote, they have to respond to it. And so that's kind of a nice way to have them think independently first and then respond. And once they hit submit, they can see everyone else's responses. And then that way, well, you get the idea. That's just a different way to use the discussion thread as well. I'm going to cancel that. Okay. A little bit about grouping there. I'm going to flip over here and see how we're doing. What are some other questions? I'm going to go into setting up the grade categories next, because that can be pretty useful. And something that you probably don't typically use is those grade categories, but they can be useful for you to get that set up too. Amy, you popped on. You might have a question.
I do. For using like Google Docs within assignments, I had trouble in the spring. Like, say I had a template that I wanted my students to all fill out to like share a copy that then they could submit with their answers.
Yeah. So there are things that I love and things that I am not in love with. And the way that there's a little bit of a restrictive nature in the way that Schoology handles Google items. But let's go ahead and dive into that, because that seems useful. Now I just have to remember which tab was that. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the first and foremost is add an assignment. And then this is include directions here in the description, but then you're going to attach this Google Drive assignment. And when you attach a Google Drive assignment, you get all of these options. It could be a presentation, it could be a document, spreadsheet, all of these different things, even Google Drawings. And what it'll do is it will actually, when the kids click on that assignment, it will create a copy of that assignment that you, the teacher, are the owner of, and the kids are an editor of. And so that's how you can deliver that's how you deliver one-on-one. So from you to the students, you can use the Google Drive assignment tool, and then it will connect that assignment in there so that the kids get a copy of it. The trouble comes in the way that this gets set up in Google Drive is it's actually a more restrictive setting. And so once I create this assignment, category field, oh, forgot to add a category. I'm going to talk about these categories in just a second. But once I click create, now I have this, by creating this the first time that I created a Google Drive assignment, now I have in my Google Drive, I have a new folder, and I have a folder called Schoology, and I have to remember what it's called, but I'm going to search for Schoology. And what happens is for every section of a course that you're in, Schoology, when you create a Google Drive assignment, I'm going to filter here, a little pro tip that I should have led with, but I'm remembering now.
Filter by folder.
Yes, thank you. Bad search practices here. I just searched for the word Schoology in my Google Drive and didn't find what I was looking for. What a surprise. Let's see if we can add some filters. So if you don't remember, there's this nifty little advanced search thing over in the corner, and then you can say, you know what I want? I want a folder from Schoology. And the item name, I think it has assignments in it, but I'm just going to click search and see what we end up with now. All right, check it out. Schoology Drive assignments, Schoology Drive assignments. And so like I said, every single time you create a Schoology Drive assignment for the course, then it ends up creating this folder called Schoology Drive assignments. Now, if I dig into this folder, for every assignment that's created in that course, it will generate a new folder for that assignment. And then within that will generate the Google Docs for the kids that they own. The trouble here, or the challenge is, it's not too bad, is that the initial Schoology Google Drive assignment, so if I go back a couple layers, you'll note that I have some that are shared with other people and some that are not. So by default, it creates this unshared folder for you. And so if you want to give access to this, what we're recommending is you go into that as soon as you make your first assignment, go in there, click the share button, and then change this so that anyone with the link can view. And the reason why we're saying anyone with a link can view is that way family members, their parents can actually see the assignment that they're working on as well. If you don't have that, if you don't share that folder, then you, the one teacher for that section, are the only one that can see the items in that folder. You can't cross assign then, because like if Amy and I were sharing that class together and I didn't share that folder with Amy, she just would have restricted access to my students' work and she wouldn't be able to see it. By setting that top level share setting right away, that's it. I'm done for the rest of the year. Now, every time I make a new Google Drive assignment in Schoology, it's going to adopt this top level share setting. So everything underneath it will be shared the way that I want it. Now, you could go in and you could manage this by assignment if you wanted to, but it feels like, jeepers, why wouldn't I just take that first folder and then share that with my teaching partners so that set it and forget it. Once it's done, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Sean, can I just ask a quick clarifying question?
Yeah, please do.
So I understand why if you were grading on the assignments that you're giving, like I understand why you might want to share that with your colleagues. What is the benefit of sharing it, and what does it look like to share that with, I thought you said parents?
Well, so we're not sharing it directly with parents, and you can make a decision. So I'm glad that you asked, because it's a good point that you can make this decision. So the way that it's set up by default, if you add your co-teachers to those folders, your parents won't be able to see the Google Drive item. Say their kiddo is working on it and they want to help their kid out. They won't see it. They'll get restricted access. They get an update sent to them weekly that has the different assignments in it. And so that Google item will actually be a link in that assignment connected to their child. And without that link sharing turned on, they'll just see restricted access. And so that might be fine, right? But you might start to get emails about, well, I can't see my kid's work. I want to help them out. Or you might have learning specialists that kick in to help you out in this as well. And again, it's going to be restricted from their view too. So you can absolutely tinker with the share settings on those folders. But I just wanted to demonstrate to you that if you set it at that folder, then everything that goes into that folder from that point forward will adopt those same share settings.
Okay, but then on this, just so that I understand, but
Yep.
Still on the Schoology end of things, because you did the Google assignment, when they get access to that folder, they're only able to see their students'
Yes.
file. They wouldn't see anything else having to do with
That's right. That's right. Because what they'll have is the direct link to their child's work.
Their child, to the copy that was made when you did the Google assignment.
That's exactly right. Yep, that's exactly right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Parents can only see only can see the assignments of their own kid that they're affiliated with, but they can see discussions and they can see media albums too.
That's good to note.
And then I think that the teachers will have to add the learning specialists as admins, co-admins again. Sean,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And I'll have some directions coming out about who else you want to add to your course, and I'll talk more about that's coming up. I'll have some more information about that for you too.
Sean, you might cover this, but when it creates that Schoology folder in your drive, does it further organize it by category, or is it only by assignment? Yeah, that's
a great question. It is just by assignment. It'll take whatever the title of your assignment is, and it will create a folder. So in my Google Drive right now, I've got a folder that says this assignment I want you to respond to.
Got it. Okay.
And it's got some code after it. I'm glad that it's important that you bring this stuff up, because I forget, right? Like I'm a little rusty. I haven't been explaining this to a broad audience recently. But one of the things to remember that's really super important is that if I look into one of these Schoology Drive assignments in which I have some things, oh, look, this one's from Robbinsdale. Look at that. Shh, don't tell Robbinsdale I took my stuff with me. Just kidding. But you can see in here, if I move these folders, Like, let's say I don't like the way it's organized in Schoology. If I move that folder outside of the Schoology anywhere into my drive, if I tinker with this tree at all, I can break the connection to Schoology. So you just go in and you change the Schoology Drive assignment folder, share settings. I don't even change the name of it. Now, you could find the ones from last year and you could change the ones from last year. But for this year, don't change the name of this folder and don't mess with the order that they come in, because that can break the link to Schoology. There is a Google Drive assignment tool from Google that is reportedly works better. We haven't been able to quite get it to work as good yet, but I think it allows you to have some more control over the share settings, but we'll wait. We're not gonna tell people about that one or make it broadly available until we know it's really working the way advertised. And right now it doesn't seem like it is.
So Sean, just clarifying. So when we would then be looking at students' assignments that were in a Google Drive, would you suggest us go right to our folder in our Google Drive and look through there, or in this assignments button and like to the submitted or to the in progress?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I'll actually jump over to one where we've got some assignments in it. So I'm going to go into our applying lessons learned from summer course. And as long as I'm here, I will show you this quick trick as well. Is whenever you're in a Schoology course, you can filter to the various items using this item over here. And so what I want to look at is assignments. And so now I can look and, oh, there's just one assignment. So I'm going to open this one up. And so to your question, Amy, I can actually do everything I need to do from this window. I can toggle right from in here. Oh, look, that's you at the top. And then if you want the larger view of it, I don't know why I got access denied. Maybe she didn't start it. Maybe didn't start it. So you can see which kids opened it up. And then I can go to the submissions. Oh yeah, so I won't jump around too much. So then if you want the full view, it puts in this handy little pane for you here. Then you can click the open button and it'll actually open that into a full screen. So depending upon your adeptness in Google Drive, going to Schoology has some advantage because it's all in this neat little package. And then if you want to open it up to the full screen, you can do that. You can interact with it from there. The other nice thing is once a student hits submit, you can click the submissions tab and then you can filter. Who needs grading? All right, let's check and see which ones haven't I gotten through yet. Oh, there's a bunch I haven't gotten through yet that have been. I can also say who was late. And I can see if anybody submitted after the due date. And so this little filter tool can be particularly useful for you as well. So if you are giving feedback to your group of kids, to me, it feels like this pane is nice because you can keep it in order and you just kind of click down the list. Question, Amy, you can still find them in your Google Drive and you can open them up and work on them from there. You can share, just like anything else in Google, so this opened up from my Google Drive assignment. I have the share settings, and so if I want, I could share this with my media specialist to say, hey, I would like to get your eyes on this as well, or get some other help, right? And so this is a nice interface for keeping things organized. Click that open button, and you have full access back to what you're more familiar with, perhaps, which is the Google Doc. Is that good?
Sean, quick recap question.
Yeah,
so I
please.
have a Schoology folder in my Google Drive, but it's last year's stuff. I won't get a Schoology folder for this year's stuff until I post my first assignment. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
And then just tell me again, what do we change the share setting to?
You can, so at the very least, share it with your teaching partners, because then it will make it easier to share that work across sections if you want. So if you decide that you created the Google Doc that's going to be assigned across all the sections, by doing it that way, you won't run into interference with your teaching partners. So at the least, early on, what I would do is go in and find my Schoology Google Drive assignment folder and share it to my teaching partners. The next layer of access is to change that top level folder so anyone with the link can view. And then that is just to make it easier for parents to see it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay.
There was a question about grading an assignment, that there's options for comments. Yes, that you can comment either by, you can write something, you can create a video or an audio recording to for feedback from the comments. You can also put a comment in the gradebook too.
And the students will see those comments, and the parents will see those comments when they open the gradebook.
Yep.
You can actually choose. So that's a great question. By default, I'm going to go back in and open up this other one. Oops, that's not the one I wanted. This is why I have so many tabs open. Oh, close this one. So I'll show you what it looks like when you make a comment in a Google Drive assignment. So I'm going to filter to this. I'm going to filter to needs grading. And then I'm going to look at Karen. I think Karen's here. I'm going to look at Karen's. And then I'm going to click over here. I'm going to give Karen some feedback now.
I'm here. You can give me a 10 out of 10.
I did look at it actually already. I was on my way. And so look at gradebook content comment. And so I can make this for Karen. But if I want Karen to be able to read it, I have to check this box. Otherwise, it's actually a private comment for you, so that if you gave them like a 6 out of 10 and you wanted to know why, it's actually comment is just it hangs out in the gradebook then there for you, so that you can see it, but the kids don't see it. So if you want them to see it, you got to check this box. Good.
You'll also discover that there's other places where you can do that same thing that you just did. That you can access that in a couple other places too, including the gradebook. You can just
that's right. That's right. So I'm going to go back to this grade 3. I got to remember to delete everything out of this course. That's why I'm going back to this. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to go to this gradebook setup. So I'm going to go to the grade setup.
Sorry, Sean, really quick. Do you get one Schoology Google Drive assignment folder per course or per year overall? I think is what you wanted to know. How many of those? You have a lot of those folders.
Yeah, one per year. And then for each of the courses, they get filtered underneath that for the year. Every time a grading period ends in Schoology and the courses are automatically archived, that ends that folder's life. Then the next grading period, when I create a Google Drive assignment, it creates a new folder for me. And then that is that folder for that grading period. So if I have, and this is less of an issue for elementary, but if I'm a secondary teacher and I have 3 different preps, then I'll have underneath that Schoology Drive assignment folder, I would have one folder for each of my preps. And then underneath that folder for my preps will be a folder for the various things that I assigned in that class. How'd I do?
Good job, good job. GOODJOB. Good job, good job.
Thanks. That's one of those things where it gets a little confusing in my face. Okay. So the last thing that I really wanted to cover for you, or not the last thing, but another thing I wanted to cover for you today was this grading categories piece. And actually part of this came out because I was helping out, as a response to this, and the 5th grade team at Creek Valley discovered the categories, but they were making categories that felt the same, like formative assessment, but then putting their initials after it so they could tell whose was whose. But the nice thing is you can actually just you can talk as a team, agree upon your categories. And so if you want a formative category, then you can create the category for formative assessments, calculated by total points. Stick with the points, not percentage. And then you can choose to drop the lowest. Now, I think is a lot less relevant at the elementary age than at the secondary age. But dropping the lowest means if I did this, drop the lowest 4, then their 4 lowest scored assignments would not be calculated in their final grade. So that's what that particular thing means. The funny thing is, if you drop the lowest and it's 1, and you create an assignment and you only have 1 assignment, then that 1 assignment won't show up because it is technically the lowest and the highest. So I don't know why it does that, but it does that. But for this, give it a category name, total points, not percentage. I can't remember the math reason why. I was a language arts teacher, but trust me, total points. And then click create. Now you have a category for formative. You can add another category. This could be daily. And if you talk as a team and agree on these different categories, because you are able to filter in the gradebook, so I'm going to go to the gradebook now. And at the top up here, the little drop down, I can filter to my section. So even though we're sharing categories, if I filter to my section, it'll just be my kids. And then I can choose the different categories that I want to filter to look at. And so if I want to look at just daily assignments, I can click on just daily. And so I can filter to just the items that I want to see to do a quick spot check. And the idea here is you can see really quickly if kids are keeping up with those various things, or you can find out, you know, where the holes are if they're missing some things. There's a lot that you can do and take advantage of in this. But what I would say is right now, it's a communication tool and a record keeping tool before an actual grade book. And so by helping yourself out by setting up those categories initially, you can start to, as you build materials out in your course, you can add those materials to different categories. And so I didn't have any categories set up when I created this one. I'm going to click on the gear. I'm going to edit this. And then I'm going to go in and change this category now to a formative, and then click save. Again, I just really, one of the nice things about this all is any setting that you make is recoverable. So this is delivered to 3 sections right now. It's the wrong category. I can click edit. I can go in, I can change my category, and then I can change the sections to say, I just want it to this one section again. And it's okay that it wasn't that way in the first place. You change that and it will be delivered to just one set of kids out of the 3 sections. And so you can start to see how you can use these things together because if you choose to divide up the work by content area, so if it's a math assignment, you can actually deliver this to all 3 sections at once. The kids, they don't have a different experience. They still, when they go here, their roster is still their teacher and still the kids that are in their homeroom. They don't know that that was delivered to all 3 homerooms at the same time. And so we did in some cases, but we didn't take full advantage of the fact that you can do these things so that you can be a little bit more efficient by sharing across sections. But now you can do that. The other thing is if you want to do it 1 section at a time, this gear allows you to, I'm going to click on the gear, you can copy them. So you can copy it and create another version of that particular assignment for you and your kids to work on to deliver to just 1 section. I don't think that that's terribly or more efficient, but it's just an item that you can do with that.
And then Ellen wanted to know, I think this was in the grade book setup, the grade setup, the purpose of highlighting the stars. I don't know what that is, the stars.
Sure, let's take a look. I think it's about setting your default. So we'll go back into grade setup. And so if I choose this, if I highlight that one, if I put that star on there, then when I create an assignment, by default, it's going to first be listed as daily. It'll just, all my assignments will come in with the category daily. And then I can switch to go to formative. So that's the purpose of the star. You can have many, many different categories. You can choose to weight the categories. A lot of this, to me, a lot of this is not nearly as relevant at the elementary level as it is at the secondary level, because the gradebook at the secondary level talks back to Infinite Campus. You're really just going to be using this as a record keeping and a way to report progress in this. And so even to the point of like, your assignments might just be binary. They did it or they didn't. So it's a 2-point assignment. 2, they did it. 1, they're working on it. 0, they haven't. If you want, you can start to think about how you can do those things as well.
Sean, in the spring, the sections had our teacher names, and now they have like letters and numbers. Is that something that we change, or is that something that you
Yeah.
do?
I'm going to give you the all clear when you can go in and change those things as well, because of all of the switches that have been going on. But you can go into the course options and then edit the info, and you can change the name of the course. So your section name is where, if I put in Beaverson here, then that is going to change that to Beaverson. And then, you can just change you want to do that to them though. So that's where you would change it. I'll send out a note that says, go ahead, because right now they might just get overwritten and it might just get a little bit frustrating. Just for tonight, I think finally it feels as though the rostering and all of that stuff has finally settled down. And I think we're on our last set of changes, and that when the sync happens tonight, we should be back to accurate, hopefully. All right, what else? Yeah, that's a good
Sean,
question. So when you
go ahead.
Yep,
Okay.
go ahead, Linnea.
I was going to say you can show him the bell ringer update so that it keeps your contact information up at the top of your course.
Oh yeah, yeah. This
fun.
going to the updates. So this is a bonus that Linnea thought of after she so generously presented at the very first thing this morning. Did that really start at 7 a.m.? This really has been a long day. But if you click over to the updates section in your Schoology course, your updates are where you broadcast to the class. And so here you go. I can choose to just broadcast to one class, and then I can stick this little bell right here. If I stick that up there, that means from now on, that will be the top level announcement. And so you can make new announcements, but they'll all filter underneath that. So what Linnea was suggesting is this is where you put your contact information. Here's my office hours, and here is how.
That's great. That's a game changer.
And then just leave that thing embedded at the top, and then you're good to go. And I'll show you another. Here's another.
Well, if you click post, it actually stays at the top of your materials section too.
Yeah. I'm just avoiding doing that because this is actually someone's course, so I haven't done it. Maybe I'll do it somewhere else. I'll do it over here. Here's the other thing that I wanted to share with you. Again, I find this to be pretty limiting, and I don't want to go crazy, but I do like at least to be able to include some links. Like I have an instinct for the way I like to do things. And so I have learned, look at this right here. I have a thing called the copy and paste workspace. And this is just a Google Doc that I have set up in my shortcuts so I can go in and I can type my updates with just a little bit of formatting. So you've seen some of my updates, like day to day. Look at this is the last time I did it was last spring. Here we're at. I can put my little fun Bitmoji in there. And because this is a web-based item, I don't know where there it is. I can copy this. It's going to copy it. And then I can go back to Schoology. And I'm going to go back to this course.
Sean, you can post it in the Schoology 1010 class that you joined this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you already just deleted that.
You have me. Am I a teacher in there, though? I think I might be.
Yeah, you're an admin. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks. So I'm going to go into the updates. And then in here, I can paste. And so now I've got like, it just is a little bit more formatting. It just looks a little bit nicer. And now I'm going to go ahead and use this little bell ringer and then click post. And now that is at the top of my page. So this is where you have your contact information. And Linnea is reporting to me. I didn't know this. I'm not going to fake things like I know these things. I didn't know. If we click on this materials button right here, the suspense is killing me. If I click on this, it's going to be right at the top as well. Hey, look at that. It is.
Dun, 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 dun.
So there you go.
And then, Sean, can I just ask one more question? Because this was the one thing that I
of course.
struggled with at the beginning of the spring. The kids' Schoology view defaults to see the updates first, right? Because the teacher
Materials, actually.
Oh, it's materials.
Yeah.
So they have to actively click on updates in order to see the updates, or do they not land on that recent activity tab or that recent activity page?
Sure. So that's a great question, and I like it. I think that these are really useful questions. So when you first log into, I'm going to copy this so I don't have to go back and find it. But when I first come into Schoology, so when the kids log in, they hit the portal, their recent activities are the updates, right? And so the first thing they see are the updates, and this is supposed to be like your Facebooky kind of feel.
So that's what they land on.
Yep, that's their first place. But when they go to your course, by default, your course will take them to the materials page down here.
Okay.
Right? What you can do, though, is if you go into the course options and you edit the course settings, you can change down here at the bottom your default landing page. And so if you are information first and then activity second, then you can change this default landing page so that when they come to your class, when they click on their course, where they're going to land first is on the updates page, and then they can flip back to materials.
Okay.
The nice thing here is, you can choose to do that. So I've only seen a couple cases where people did the updates first, but look over here, because we started to add due dates to things and times. Look at this slick upcoming events thing right here. And these are linked back to the items, so they don't even have to go to the materials page. You could train them to look at this update, this upcoming, which is the common way they train the kids at the secondary, is to look here. And then the other nice thing about this is all of these items that come through like this will be delivered to their parents' email inbox with these links to this as well. So if you've included a description in the positive things, the parents will get a link to this assignment that'll say it's due on Monday, August 31st at 11:59. If I go in and I change that, why don't I just to show you what that looks like? I'll give it a different due date. I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit this assignment. And I'm going to change this due date to September 3rd. Click Save Changes. Go back to the front page of our Schoology course. Again, I'm back on the updates, but look at there, Thursday, September 3rd, and it has that thing. And so by using the dates, you start to create this nifty little list. And, you probably don't need to do it for everything, but there might be if the weekly updates are coming out, you can think of the ways that you would use that. But here's a nice way to generate the to-do list of things to do that is automatic in Schoology. So you don't have to be trying to come up with ways, how do I do this? Just train them to use this particular piece. And frankly, their parents can actually subscribe to this calendar if they want. If they want to put it in their Google Calendar, they could. If they wanted to put it in Outlook, that's an option. They can actually subscribe to the Google Calendar, or excuse me, the Schoology calendar to make it even more useful for them. Set time of day for due dates for that's something that is being worked on. I'm going to stop presenting now. That's something that's being worked on at the administrative level, and I think they're almost ready to send out those documents around like what are the instructional minutes per item supposed to be for the week, when should updates be posted so that the kids can find it and the families can find it, how are we supposed to do things like attendance and how's that going to look. So that all of that information is going to be coming out in the next 24 hours, I believe. I say that, and 10 minutes after I get off this call, something will change. We'll have a vaccine and we'll all be all set. And they'll be like, all right, everybody's getting vaccinated and we're going back to school. And that'll be awesome. Or in the likeliness, something else will go change and we're all in distance learning. So, maybe that would be awesome too. I don't know anymore. All right, my friends, that is Schoology 202. I hope that answered some questions for you. Really just trying to focus on the ways that we can add some efficiency in working together to try to make it a little bit lighter lift for you. The nice thing is you can easily share things across courses in Schoology. You can easily connect assignments across courses in Schoology. And so we're really continuing to investigate ways. I was right before this, I was on a Google Meet call with Mark Carlson, who's been working with a group of teachers on putting together math lessons that will be an assignment item in Schoology with the embedded video that explains the topic, and then a prompt for a response from the kids that will be available in resources. You'll be able to click a gear, copy it to my course, and then you'll have a lesson ready to go for you in math. And so we're working through that in math and language arts. And language arts might look a little bit different because of the nature of language arts, but that's an advantage. That's something we can actually take away from using this thing together that I think we will continue to find ways to try to lighten some element of the load, right? We have to figure out a way to ease some portion of this, the goals of sustainability. If we can't do that, it's not going to be sustainable. And so we keep coming at it like that.
Thank you, Sean. So I found that you could make like within Google Drawings, maybe like a banner or something that had like clickable elements. So you could maybe put like a link to how-tos or a link to like email right within that. But then I guess my hang up, so I like then made it a page, but getting it from like a page to an update so it stays at the top. Do you have tricks for that?
You just you copy and paste it. You can, because I did it a couple of times today, you can just copy and paste from page right into updates, and it keeps the format in.
Okay.
And then click on the picture, and then you would say insert a link. Do I have to do insert a link? And then that picture would be the link.
Yeah. So I've seen there's some energy and some excitement around Bitmoji classrooms, and that creating these cool banners through Bitmojis that you can do. You can insert Google Drawing to do it. I will have a link and a quick video, and I can do that. I say that's like the 400 level Schoology, gussying up Schoology to make it a little bit more appealing. So that's coming, because that's actually, I have that documentation, but we just said, let's get some of these other things launched. And then to Linnea's point, I mean, that's what I did here. So by using my copy and paste workspace, what I do is I insert a table to get things to lay out the way I want them to. And so my table might have 3 columns in it, or it might have 2 columns. I love it in Google. It's easier for me to push around the columns and things in Google. And then I just make the border white so that you can't see the border of the table. And then I literally just Control A for copy or select all, and then copy and paste that into the updates. And then I futz. I mess with it a little bit. One of the weird things is if you have a bulleted list item in Google Docs, it puts a weird spacing behind it in Schoology. You just click the buttons, the bullet list off, and then click it back on, and it gets reformatted the way that it does. So it's been a little bit of trial and error for me, but
Sean, what's the name of the thing that you buy that has your crazy guy in it?
What's what?
The name of your Bitmoji thing that you paid, like you paid for something. your Bitmoji, like on your data day thing, you had your little like groovy guy with his little disco finger, data
Yeah.
day. That little
Yeah.
Bitmoji of yours, that's not from Bitmoji.
It is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a bonus.
I thought you told me that you paid for some sort of thing,
I
and
didn't.
then you
No.
did use Bitmoji. Okay.
Here, watch. I'll show you all. So if you get the Bitmoji extension, because I know Bitmoji is having its moment this year. It's very exciting. Okay, I'm gonna try to show this to you.
It's like open shoulder shirts from like 2 years ago.
Which they were the antithesis of it was like the opposite of the shoulder pad era. I was like so blown away by that. I just closed everything today. All right, sorry. You can hang up now if you want. This is just for fun. Linnea, did I share my screen yet? I can't remember.
Yeah, you shared it. Yeah.
All right, so I have the Bitmoji extension up here. And if you use the Bitmoji extension and you type in something like data day, it will actually make Bitmojis with your words underneath it. So you can customize your Bitmojis to be like back to school. Oops. And then it'll just like give you some back to school ones. See, there they are, back to school. And then I just right click, copy that image, and I paste it into my copy and paste workspace. And then I have a Bitmoji with a personalized message next to it.
Drops mic. Boom.
That's it. That's how I use that's how I felt kind of bad because other people could do that for a while. I was like, my extension doesn't do that, but finally it does. So.
Right. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Thanks for everything. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thank you, Sean.
Oh, don't leave yet. Oh, I almost forgot. Don't leave yet. I have to send this to you. You need your, you get your attendance for being here. So hold on one second. I got to find this form. Should bookmark it. That'd make my life easier. Okay. Okay. I'm going to post this in the chat. Quick Google form. If you haven't filled it already, fill it out. This is our attendance for this, and then we're going to process payment by using this Google form. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible for you to participate and to get payment for participating. So there isn't even an evaluation on there. I know. If you know who left, tell them sign up. I'll see them again. I'll make a note and remind people, but actually I recorded this, so I'll know exactly who showed up. So that's good.
And what's this called? What is this one called?
So and it probably isn't on there because I actually pivoted to try to make this more